Greetings, fellow mayors. Welcome to Tile by Tile with Captain Obvious. This is where we plan an entire city just based on the first tile of any given map. In today's video, we will plan a city for the maps in the Airports DLC. But first, a short disclaimer. As of mid-April 2022, everything in this video will be based on my experience and personal standards from about 6,500 hours time played for City Skylines. This tile-by-tile city planning is for a standard, progressive, and challenging gameplay without the initial use of 81 tiles or the sort. Simply because with 81 tiles unlocked in the beginning, reduces the challenge and requires much less city planning. It is basically nearly equivalent to playing with unlimited money. Since the entire map is available to you, you can simply build anywhere at any time. Like if you had unlimited money, you do not have to stress about balancing finances because you can afford everything for free. However, I absolutely have nothing against 81 tiles or unlimited money gameplay because that game style heavily focuses on city design. On the other hand, after you have reached the final milestone, it is understandable to want to unlock 81 tiles to enjoy the rest of the map. And lastly, while we are viewing maps, this will also be my tier list for DLC maps. With that said, let's jump to the first map in the Airports DLC, which is the Newport Map. It is a boreal theme map with 80% area suitable for building, which means we should expect a higher population requirement to reach the final milestone. This map also have all the highway, rail, ship, and plane connections, while it also have all natural resources available at a little over 30% in each oil or fertile land and forestry. As soon as the map is loaded, the very first thing that we will do is to check Newport's final megalopolis milestone, which is to reach a population of 90,000 residents. Instantly, we already have our first hint to our city planning, and that is we will need a lot of high-density residential just to reach that 90k pop to unlock the final 9th tile. Then, optionally, we may then unlock 81 tiles to continue to play a challenging progressive gameplay. The other game information is not available, so we will quit the game and then activate the progression unlock mod just so we can better view the whole map for surveying purposes. Now we can better analyze the whole map before we actually play it. And the first thing that I look for are the ground resources available in the first tile and closest to the first tile. We can instantly see that there are 4 resource types immediately available, which is most excellent because one of your first objectives when starting your city is to establish your city's economy. And that is best done with Industries DLC. So far, this map is looking promising. However, before economy, you must gain population. The first tile needs to create zoning for residents, and we must choose to start with either farming or forestry. This is of course after you have zoned in generic yellow industries and have unlocked the farming and forestry industry. Again, with 81 tiles unlocked in the beginning, you may dedicate the whole first tile for just residents and then just find another resource like here, then create an interchange and just get started with your farming. Not to mention with the extra landscaping tools, you could simply paint in a resource wherever you see fit. Okay, now let's talk about the priority tiles to unlock, or what makes a tile valuable that you must unlock it. First, it is always best to unlock tiles towards or with a built-in highway, which will help reduce traffic in your city. And second, you should always or should look for other outside connections such as rail or ship routes. In this case, this is the only rail line available in the whole map. Therefore, this tile must be unlocked. Then from here, we can expand the rail line to the other tiles and create passenger and cargo stations for quicker transportation. However, it does not mean that we must unlock this tile immediately. No, we just need to keep in mind that we eventually need to unlock this tile. Now let's look for ship connections. And this is the only ship connection available for this map. So we would want to unlock this tile, which can squeeze in a cargo and passenger harbor. And just like the rail tile over here, we don't necessarily need to unlock this tile immediately, but just know that we eventually will unlock it. Now we have 4 must unlock tiles, and we need to determine what are the other 5 tiles that we want to unlock. And this is when the map opens a variety of replay value depending on which direction you want to go. For instance, you may choose to unlock these tiles and go for a coastline build, but this map is actually quite peculiar because you may not choose to unlock further west or to the south, which is unfortunate unless you use or eventually use 81 tiles. So as you can see, there is no option to unlock this tile, but you can unlock the other tiles next to it. And it's also the same with this tile, where you cannot unlock this, but you can unlock these 2 other tiles. In any case, again, the very first thing that your city needs to establish are your 4 industry DLCs to gain the most economy. This map has so many resource options. We can take these 2 tiles, which has oil, ore, and farming, and of course we can simply plant trees anywhere to create a forest. And again, notice how I am choosing tiles that have built-in highway access. Or we may choose to unlock these 2 tiles, which I did choose to unlock in my current Newport City series, which is still ongoing. And the reason why I chose these 2 tiles is so that I have access to these rivers, because I want to create a canal city. So therefore, we will add these 2 to our must unlock tiles. And now we are left with 3 tiles to choose from. And since I mentioned that I wanted to create a canal city using these rivers, therefore these 2 tiles must be unlocked to gain full access to this river. Likewise, this tile must also be unlocked to complete this river route. And now we have our 9 tiles planned to unlock, and I do enjoy the fact that this is not a square, like not a perfect square, so we would have a very interesting build. Now that we have our chosen 9 tiles, we may start to plan what to put in them. As much as possible, you want to utilize everything from all major DLCs, and that is what we need to plan. In my current Newport series, let me just unlock the same tile so it's less confusing. So I have determined that I want to have Industries DLCs in the top 2 tiles, which conveniently has all 4 resource types and a highway connection. Just ignore this. This is actually an ongoing series, so just ignore that. Airports DLC can be in this tile because of the train line, which we could build our cargo airport. However, the tile seems a little small for airports DLC with cargo. It would be convenient if we at least had this tile to expand the airport. Again, this depends on the focus of your city. My Newport City or series focuses on completing a canal city. Therefore, I prioritize unlocking the tiles with the rivers. Other fellow mayors may have a different city plan, and of course, after I have reached the final milestone, I may simply use the 81 tiles mod and unlock a 10th tile to expand the airport. Another option is to reserve these two tiles for the passenger and cargo airport. We can simply expand the train line to reach this tile. This might actually be a better option than my current build, but let's see where the series will take us. If you want to follow the progress of Newport City, make sure you're subscribed and be notified when a new episode is published. Another DLC that you want to add into your city are from Park Life. And what you want to look for in the map is a lake to establish your zoo because the sea life enclosure requires water. You can use this building on a river or a coastline, but I don't see the animals choosing to stay in one area when they have the entire ocean to explore. That doesn't actually happen in the game, but it's just something to consider. Therefore, I choose to place the sea life enclosures in a lake, and there are 2 lakes available in our chosen tiles. So if this will be the airport tile, then this is where we will create our zoo, and vice versa. But don't be bothered by this highway running right through. We can simply reconstruct it to go in a different direction, then combine these 2 lakes together. Or we can keep them separate and place the nature reserve on the other side. If you could unlock these tiles, this is an ideal location for a nature reserve, or these islands. Basically anything that has ruins is a good location for a nature reserve. We can also plan the amusement park island right here. This appears to be large enough for all the amusement park assets, and we can also add in a passenger harbor, while a cargo harbor can be on the other side or even on this side. Let's actually double check if it will fit. So here's a harbor. This island actually seems smaller than it appears, and of course the cargo is about the same size. It can also go here. So if this island is a little too tiny, maybe not all the amusement park assets will fit, what we can do is we can actually expand this river. So we're going to cut right here and then push the land into that direction just to make this a little wider, and that should work. So you need to properly plan that. So when you're building here, do not like start building your roads and all of that. First, you actually need to break this and maybe start your amusement park island first before completely filling this out, so you know exactly how much space that you will need. The final major DLC that we want to include is at least 1 campus type, and the only requirement is to have a wide enough area to fit in all the campus assets. So if the airport was here, your campus can be here, here, or here, or all 3 types can be in all those locations. That will be completely up to you. In my past builds, I also included the Chirp launch site, but it is not necessary and may no longer fit in just 9 tiles, especially with the airport's DLC. Okay, so let's rate the map with stars by categories. And the first category will be highway connections, based on the first tile. Highways are the backbone of your city because they help reduce traffic. I will give this map a half-star rating because it basically only has 1 highway, and you will need to create another highway route just to distribute the traffic. And of course, anywhere between, you can create interchanges, entrances, and exits. So this is what I am actually doing in my current series. The second category are the ground resources, which this map has an abundance of and in close proximity from each other. So this gets a full star. There are some maps with lacking ground resources, or they are further apart from each other, which is not ideal. You may, however, choose to simply import the resources, which brings up the third category, which are rail and ship connections, which this map has. So this also deserves a full star. There are other maps with no rail or ship connections or both, so this category is just as important. The fourth category will be terrain and water features. By looking at the landscaping view, we can see that the terrain is fairly flat, while everything else is manageable. We could flatten it or just make it more smooth as we desire. Mountains are also nice, but there are some maps with too many steep mountains and too little space to build a decent city. And regarding water features, this map has two thin rivers that rip through the terrain, which opens opportunities to add a ferry line and create an interesting canal city build. In the fishing industry view, we can see that the rivers mostly contain salmon with a sprinkle of anchovy, and these are the two smallest fishing ships in the game, while the coastline going to the ocean have an abundance of anchovy and shellfish. It is always ideal to utilize as many vehicle types as possible, regardless if it is on land, air, or sea. Movement in the water makes your city extra attractive and it makes the city come alive. The best fishing type are tuna for their large fishing ships that you can view and notice easily from top view. This map also have 3 lakes, or to be more accurate, 3 water sources within the first 2 to 3 tiles from the starting tile. This is significant because it opens possibilities such as expanding to create a larger lake or create new rivers. So these blue dots are the water sources, so these will never empty out, and you can make the rivers or the lakes larger, like especially this one. If you wanted to make it bigger, you can create like a river here if you wanted to. Same goes with this. So there are many possibilities with water sources. For example, in the Fisher Enclave City series, this is the original landscape with a lake, and I created a new river which connects to the lake with a waterfall. The only limits to what you can do with inland water sources is your own imagination. As a result, in the terrain and water features category, this map gets a full star for its Canal City opportunity and for the flexibility of the various inland water sources. And the final category is replay value. Of course, with 81 tiles, you can build in any which way, but with 9 tiles, it is ideal to choose to unlock these tiles in these combinations. However, the only curveball for this map is the 90,000k population to reach the final milestone, and the fact that you cannot choose to unlock tiles towards the ocean despite the fact that this map is called Newport. Other than that, the Newport map gets a 4.5 out of 5 stars, which is overall great and is highly recommended to play in. Before we move on with the next map, let us take a closer look at Newport from various angles and its obvious features. From the top view, we can see that there are neat looking rivers that flow into the ocean, and there are 3 outside highway connections. There are 2 built-in trumpet interchanges that are well designed and definitely looks much better and less mechanical than the built-in trumpet interchange asset. There are several ruins along the coastlines mixed in with destroyed medieval stone towers and walls, and there's even a shipwreck nearby that must have occurred in later centuries. On the other side, there are bunker ruins left over from the war, and we have another shipwreck nearby. There is a lighthouse on the end of the peninsula with 2 abandoned cars. And in the largest island near the peninsula is a castle ruined with destroyed stone walls and towers. Along the river is another castle ruined, but this time it comes with a cemetery and a garden that survived. The only train line in the map comes with an abandoned factory and cars, and there is another abandoned factory on the other side of the map, but the train track is not connected to anything, but instead it has an abandoned house at the end of the line. That is one map down and we have two more to go. The second map that we will plan and rate is Hanami Bay and it is a temperate map with a 70% area suitable for building, which means it will be less than 90,000 population to reach the final milestone. This map also have all highway, rail, ship, and plane connections, while it also have all natural resources available. With the progression unlock mod disabled, we can see that the final milestone is more forgiving at just 80,000 population. With a 70% area suitable for building, an 80k pop final milestone requirement is reasonable. With the progression unlock mod active, let's take a closer look at Hanami Bay. At first glance, this long peninsula is the very first thing you will notice because it kinda speaks to you saying build here. And with that said, let's consider this as one city build option where the focus is to build around and into this peninsula. And instantly we have just used 5 game tiles and we have 4 left to consider. But first, let's check the resources within these 5 tiles. It has oil, fertile land, ore, and of course we can just plant trees anywhere to create our forestry resource. Now let's look for the rail and ship connections, which are located here and here. This rail line is the most convenient because it is just 2 tiles away from the starting tile, while this train line is about 1, 2, 3, 4 tiles to unlock, which is not advisable because that is too many tiles used just to get there. So for any map makers watching, if you want your map to be vanilla friendly, please provide rail and possibly ship and other highway connections within the second and third tile from the starting tile. Another note is from the starting tile, you can only unlock 2 tiles in one direction from the starting tile. So if you designed your map to have outside connections beyond the 3 tiles from the starting tile, then your map is not vanilla friendly. And of course, it would be ideal to have as many mayors playing on your map. For anyone who is wondering on what is the big deal or value of rail and ship connections, well, my young Padawan, as your city grows, your commercial areas will demand more goods to sell. And eventually, your industrial areas will not be able to pacify your commercial needs for more goods. Your outside highway connections that brings in goods will eventually take too long to travel to and out your city, trying to provide for so many commercial areas. Therefore, rail and ship connections are necessary to keep your supply chain healthy. Therefore, either this or this tile or both can be unlocked, but before we unlock, let us find the ship connection, which is right here. And this makes this tile a must unlock. Now we have 6 sure tiles that we want to unlock. So let's go back to the top tiles and consider what we want to do with them other than accessing the rail and highway connection. It is very possible to take these 2 tiles and reserve them for airports DLC, then our industries DLC. Let's check our resources. Our industries DLC can be on this side. So here we will have our oil. We will create our farming on this side, our ore here, and then probably if we could fit our forestry there, possibly, or here. But we want to leave like this middle part reserved for some residential and commercial. Then we can connect these 2 highways together and create interchanges between them. All right, let's go ahead and unlock this tile. All right, so now we have 8 tiles, and for the 9th and final tile, you can either make it a perfect square by unlocking this, but I would prefer to unlock either this or this tile. which you can create like interesting islands on either side, which is one of my personal standards whenever I plan to make a city, and the island would definitely stand out. As for the city planning on where you want to place your major DLCs, it will depend on which of these tiles you want to unlock. So for example, if you want to take this tile, this area here has a large enough space for a campus, while these three areas, 1, 2, and 3, is where you can place your downtown area with your largest or tallest buildings, and you may even choose to expand this island or even connect it to the peninsula, which is a possibility. Then this island can be expanded to become an amusement park island, while this island here can also be expanded to become your zoo. Then everything else will be for population. If you choose to unlock this tile, you can expand this island and probably make it 4 major areas for your downtown. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then you can have your campus area here. And you could also create an amusement park island with zoo around here on the back. If you choose to have a perfect square layout, then it really depends also if you want a larger airport, which is, depending on you. You can make this area into your campus. Then you can create an amusement park island with zoo here in between this area. We pretty much jump started the map rating for Hanami Bay with the replay value category that I just enumerated. Therefore, Hanami Bay gets a full star for an enjoyable replay value. Regarding the rating for the highway connections category, Hanami Bay may have 4 outside highway connections, but the locations of the highway are a bit too far apart, which makes it unfriendly. New players that do not unlock towards the highway will be trapped with this single entrance exit because they do not realize that they need to connect to the other parts of the highway. New players will experience heavy bottlenecking and will not have a fun time. Therefore, this map will get a half star for unfriendly highway connections. Hanami Bay also have an abundance of ground resource and in close proximity from the starting tile. Therefore, this map will get a full star for ground resources. And also, Hanami Bay will also get another full star for having both rail and ship connections within the second and third tile from the starting tile. In the terrain and water features category, let's have a closer look at the map and its surrounding features. From the top view of Hanami Bay, you can see that there are interesting islands and it is tempting to build on, but realistically, you need a lot of empty terrain space just to build up your population to reach the final milestone. So therefore, you actually cannot access this if you are playing vanilla. So the only way you can utilize or exploit all of this islands is by using 81 tiles. And now let's take a closer look at the terrain, and you can notice that it is relatively flat, which makes it enjoyable for building. And there are 3 built-in interchanges. First is a generic T interchange, while there is also a larger version on this side, and there's also an inaccessible trumpet interchange on the lower left. And yes, again, you cannot access this if you are playing vanilla. And there are no lakes, or actually there are lakes here, but as vanilla playing, you cannot reach that unless you really force yourself to get there, which is not advisable. And what else is there to say about this map? I guess that's it. So this map will still, however, get a full star because it is mostly a flat terrain. If there were many lumps and mountains, for example, like this, which is not buildable, then it will be less desirable to play in. Regarding ruins, there's ruins all the way outside here. One even further away near the edge of the map, which is also inaccessible, and there's also a factory here with some log yards. This could be a good area to place in your forestry if you decide to build this far. If you're a map builder, it is very advisable to place all of these types of features closer or within the first and second tile. Otherwise, you are just building a map for 81 tile players. The last but certainly not the least, we have Asano Beach, which is a peculiar map, at least in my point of view. This is a tropical themed map with 75% area suitable for building, with another 90,000 population requirement to reach the final milestone. This again means that you need a lot of high density residential zoning to reach that 90k pop. In my opinion, all maps should have reduced next milestone requirements to make it more enjoyable for vanilla players. This opens a variety of replay value to all maps by being able to unlock tiles in multiple combinations. Asano Beach also have all highway, rail, ship, and plane connections, while it also have all natural resources available. Okay, let's zoom out and have a look at this map. Okay, so there's definitely a lot of land, which explains why it is a 90,000 final milestone requirement. But the peculiar thing about this map is the position of this highway. It is simply too close to the river. There is a lot of value, design, and build potential on riverbanks, and this highway just ruins everything. Of course, we can reconstruct and reposition the highway to be a bit further away from the river, but that is just more work and planning required. Nevertheless, we would redo these generic three-way interchanges, so I guess it goes along the build, but that is still a lot of work to do. The other peculiar thing about this map is the length of this beach. I mean, look at how many blocks you can fit in there. Let's try to just look at that. Like, how many blocks can you put in there? I mean, does the tide really go that in deep? While this beach here seems it has ample enough space to fit in like your park assets, and it's just not that long compared to this one. This feels more like a small desert than a beach. But of course, with extra landscaping tools, you could simply reduce the sand, but on a vanilla level, it just doesn't seem right. Now this seems much more acceptable rather than being this deep in. So yeah, that is the only two peculiar things about this map. Okay, I just reloaded the map to reset the beach, so now let's analyze the ground resources available for Asano Beach. We are looking for the area with the three resources closest to each other, then work our way around it. And of course, the most valuable ground resource is oil, and we can see that oil is available to the north, south, east, and west. The furthest east I would not recommend to vanilla players simply due to its distance from the main highway. You're just inviting traffic to your city without establishing a proper transportation network. That leaves us with these four to choose from. This might be the closest to the starting tile. However, there's no other value other than having ore nearby. There may be more concentration of oil in this area, but you don't really need that many oil extractors than necessary. That goes the same with the southern oil resource, which requires more adapting than usual and having to deal with water. The west oil resource is definitely the most viable. It also has the ore. It also has the ore and farming nearby, which is convenient, and more importantly, it has access to a built-in highway, which will help reduce traffic. Furthermore, this tile is also a must tile to unlock along with the other tiles along the river. While this tile, of course, opens access to the rail, and now we have 6 must unlock tiles. This will be our 7th tile to gain access to the ore, and we also need to unlock this tile in order to gain access to able to replace this interchange. So for any map makers out there, do not do this. Don't put an interchange right directly on a border. And so what else? So this corner feels a little too close to the river, which leaves a little space to add roads. So this can be our 8th tile. I'm not a fan of this desert, but at least it is at a corner, and we also gain access to this abandoned factory. Now we have one tile left to choose from, and this will depend on where we want to place our airport's DLC. So one layout can be, we could unlock this tile here, and we can have our airport consume 1.5 tiles, and then our industries will be on this side, and our residential can be all here. So that will be our and here, and that will be our first layout. Another possibility is we could unlock this tile and place this of where our airport will be, and it will be the same here. This will be where our industry will be, residential, our cargo can be here, but this can also actually be an a industrial area, because this tile also has oil, ore, and farming. So we can have our industries here, we can have our forestry on this side, and this whole tile here can consume for a very, very large airport if that's what you want. And then everything here can instead become our residential area. So that is layout 2. A layout 3 possibility would be to unlock this tile. So when we unlock this tile, we can create an island airport. This will be our passenger island, and here we could have our cargo airport, and here will remain the same as our industry area, and then our residential can be anywhere or everywhere here. Now let's think about where to place our campus area. So our campus can be here and here, or we could have just one or two or both. And then here we could have our amusement and zoo, and we could have nature reserve. That will be up to you. You don't necessarily need to have 3, but it could be anywhere on this side. Basically those 3 things, campus and park life, we can be anywhere here. And our downtown area, where the tallest buildings are, will of course be on the beach front. So that will be like along here and on this side. We again jump-started the replay value category rating by determining the different tile combinations to unlock Asano Beach, so this map gets a full star for an easy and enjoyable city build in the replay value category. In regards to highway connections rating category, Asano Beach, for having nearby highway connections, which makes it traffic friendly, gets a full star. You may want to redo the highways or at least reposition them, but that is not too difficult to do. This map also have an abundance of ground resources and in close proximity from each other. Therefore, this map gets a full star for ground resources. Asano Beach will also get a full star for having both rail and ship connections within the second tile from the starting tile. The ship connection may be a bit further away, but that is actually a good thing. So at least the rail will cover the northern needs for more goods, while the ship connection will cater the southern needs for more goods. In the terrain and water features category, we can see that it is relatively flat, which makes it enjoyable for building. However, it is probably the least most interesting map among the 3. There is just one river that flows through the middle and not much else is going on. There is an interesting lake on the far east that is mostly accessible with 81 tiles. The river has tuna available for fishing, which is also the best fishing type for having the largest ship. And tuna also have more return value compared to the other fishing types. However, it may be a little too snug to squeeze in a fishing and a ferry route. So it may be necessary to expand the river ever so slightly, or just choose one. Either you're going to have fishing ships or you're going to have a ferry. And again, the lake is extremely too far away from the main highway to make it worthwhile. So at first glance, Asano Beach does not really have anything compelling or interesting to do. It is, however, a very easy map to play in because of the highway layout. And if you choose this style specifically, therefore, this map gets a half-star rating in the terrain and water features category. Overall, Asano Beach gets a 4.5 out of 5 stars, which make all 3 maps in the airport's DLC enjoyable to build on. Now, what we need are examples or a legend on what I consider to be the best and worst maps for each category. That will be in a separate video. So it will explain how I rate a 0 to a full star for each category. I will eventually rate all DLC maps, but you, the viewer, can comment in the description to vote on which DLC I should make a map tier list video on next. In the background shows teasers for the DLCs on what to vote on. It is possible that you may watch this video months later since this video was published, so I may have already made a map tier list for the following DLCs. So in that case, check the video description below for a link to that DLC map tier list. For anyone who does follow the city planning in any of the DLC maps, you can join my Discord and share screenshots of your city. If you like the video, smash that thumbs up and subscribe button to be notified when a new video is published. Until then, this is Captain Obvious, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again in the next video.